We surveyed over 400 engineers and architects across North America to find out what separates the best firms from the rest. And we found three things, three C's. We're covering one on each of our podcasts, and today we're starting with the first one. This is part one of a three-part series based on the 2026 Future of Work in Engineering and Architecture report, which was produced by the Engineering Management Institute and Actions Prove. To get all three C's and the full data behind them, you can download the free report through the link in the description for this episode. Over the next few weeks, across three of our podcasts, we're going to break down what the top AEC firms are doing differently based on real data from over 400 engineers and architects that we surveyed earlier this year. Each episode focuses on one of what we're calling the three C's, and today we're starting with one that I think surprises leaders the most. But before we get into the data, I want to start with a question. When was the last time someone on your team told you honestly that they weren't sure where your firm was headed? Probably never, because nobody says that out loud. But here's what's striking. The data tells us a lot of them are thinking it, and that disconnect between what people say in a meeting and what they actually feel is costing firms more than leaders realize. Today's episode is about the first C, confidence. Specifically, what happens when your team doesn't have confidence in firm leadership, and what the best firms are actively doing to close this gap. Before we jump in, I want to tell you about AEC PM Connect, a series of in-person events that we've created at EMI for AEC project managers and the leaders who develop them. If you want to stay on top of PM trends, elevate your team, and deliver stronger project results, these full-day events are built for you. We're coming to New Jersey this June and Kansas City this October, and we can't wait to get them going. You can learn more and register at aecpmconnect.com. I'm your host, Anthony Fasano, and this is the AEC Leadership Podcast. Let's dive in. Let me give you a few numbers that set the stage for what we're going to talk about today. When we asked people what would most make them want to stay at their firm, the number one answer, above salary, above flexibility, above remote work options, was higher confidence in firm leadership. 41% of respondents said that. Let's think about that for a minute. Not a raise, not better benefits, confidence in leadership. Now, here's where it gets more complex. Leaders themselves, principals, executives, senior partners, are twice as likely to report feeling highly engaged, more than technical staff. And 77% of leaders said they would not consider leaving their firm. Compare that to the 41% of technical staff who said the same. That's not a small gap. That's two entirely different workplace experiences happening inside the same organization. And it shows up in the burnout data as well. Technical staff and managers are twice as likely as leaders to report frequent or constant burnout, 24% each versus 11% of leaders. So when we talk about a confidence gap in AEC, we're not talking about something abstract. We're talking about a real, measurable divide between the people at the top who feel good about where the firm is going, and then the people doing the work who often just aren't sure. So what does confidence in leadership actually mean? Now, let me be clear about something. When I say confidence, I don't mean bravado. I don't mean having all the answers. In fact, some of the most confident leaders that I've met are the first to say what they don't know. What I mean is this. Confidence is what your people feel when they trust the direction that the organization is headed and trust that leadership is being straight with them about it. So let's break that down into three specific areas where this shows up. In the AEC industry, skilled project managers are the backbone of success. EMI's AEC PM certification offers tailored training, ongoing support, and exclusive access to premium content that keeps your team sharp and effective. From foundational training to advanced leadership tools, set your team apart with certified growth. Learn more at aecpm.com. That's aecpm.com. Number one, confidence in direction. People don't need perfect leaders. They need leaders who communicate with clarity and conviction. The engagement gap we see in this data isn't primarily about salary. It isn't about perks or remote work policies. It's about trust. Trust in where the firm is going and whether leadership is being honest about it. Here's a question worth asking yourself. How often do you share the firm's direction with your team? Not just the goals, but the why behind them. How often do you acknowledge uncertainty rather than projecting false confidence that people can see right through? Because your people, they're reading you. They're interpreting every all-hands meeting, every town hall, every project update. And if what they're hearing doesn't feel real, it feels managed or polished or disconnected from what they're experiencing day to day, confidence erodes fast. Confident leadership communication isn't about being bulletproof. It's about being honest and consistent. Those are two things every leader can do starting this week. Number 2, confidence in AI and the future. This one is going to make some people uncomfortable, which is exactly why we need to talk about it. Only 20% of AEC professionals we surveyed said they feel very or extremely confident in their firm's readiness for AI. 1 in 5. And 65% of firms, nearly 2 out of 3, have no clearly documented AI guidelines for their staff. Now, here's what that actually means for leaders. If you haven't addressed AI clearly and directly with your team, you haven't left a neutral space. You've left a vacuum. And people fill vacuums with anxiety. Your team is watching how you handle what you don't know yet. That's not a weakness. It's a leadership test. And the firms that are building confidence right now aren't the ones who have AI all figured out. They're the ones who are being transparent about where they are, what they're doing about it, and how their people fit into that future. If you haven't had that conversation with your team yet, this is your nudge. Finally, number 3, confidence through investment. The third place confidence breaks down is through how firms invest in their people, or more specifically, who they invest in. Our data shows that leaders receive 60% more training hours per year than technical staff. 24.3 hours annually versus 15.2 for technical staff. Now, I understand why this happens. Senior people often have more flexibility. Professional development for leadership is sometimes tied to client relationships or business development, which we can really measure. There are real reasons for this, but here's the signal that it sends, whether you intend to or not. Development is for people who've already arrived. And if your technical staff feel like the firm's investment stops at a certain level, they start asking themselves whether this is really the place for their career long term. The firms that do this well don't treat training as a reward for seniority. They treat it as a commitment to every person in the organization. And that commitment, that genuine investment, is one of the most powerful confidence builders a leader can offer. One more thing I want to mention, because the data here is striking. Professionals at traditional or employee-owned firms are twice as likely to be highly engaged as those at investor-owned firms, 75% versus 35%. And they're nearly twice as likely to say they wouldn't consider leaving. That tells us something important. Confidence in leadership isn't only built person by person. Some of it is structural. The ownership model matters. If your firm is traditionally or employee-owned, that's a real advantage. And if you're not actively leveraging it, you're leaving something on the table. Now, let me summarize these 3 components of confidence. Number 1, confidence in the direction of your organization. Your people need to have that. Number 2, confidence in AI and the future and your readiness. And number 3, confidence through the investment in your people. If you're a leader listening to this right now, I want you to take one thing away. You don't have to have all the answers, but your team needs to know that you're engaged, you're honest, and you're invested in them, not just in the firm's performance and success. That is what closes the confidence gap. This is part 1 of 3 in our Future of Work series. Part 2 on clarity drops on June 9th on the AEC PM podcast, And part 3 on connection drops June 12th on the Civil Engineering CEO Show, where I sit down with Peter Atherton, who co-authored this report with us. Links to both are in the show notes, and the full 2026 Future of Work in Engineering and Architecture report is available for free. Everything we've talked about today, plus the full data on AI adoption, burnout, career development, and everything that separates the best AEC firms from the rest. You can get it at the link in our show notes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Confidence is everything in your career personally, and for the people working in your organization. They want confidence in their leadership and the direction of the organization. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel here. We put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help AEC professionals become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.